Welcome to my channel Echoes of Coin. What if a single penny from 1967 could reveal the hidden story of a nation under pressure? No mint mark, no silver, no spotlight. Yet this quiet 1-cent coin carries secrets from an era of war, inflation, and change. Before you dismiss it as ordinary, listen closely, because this penny has a story most people never notice. The 1967 1-cent coin of the United States stands as a quiet but powerful witness to a nation in transition. A small copper disc struck at a moment when American society, economics, and culture were undergoing deep and lasting change. At first glance, the 1967 Lincoln cent may appear ordinary, even unremarkable, yet within its metal lies a story shaped by political tension, rising inflation, technological evolution, and the daily lives of millions of Americans who carried this coin in their pockets. It belongs to a decade defined by transformation, and that context gives the 1967 penny a meaning far beyond its face value. The obverse of the 1967 1-cent coin features the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, a design that had already been in use for nearly 6 decades by that time. Introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, the Lincoln cent was the first circulating U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. By 1967, Lincoln's portrait had become one of the most recognizable images in American numismatics, symbolizing unity, endurance, and moral strength. The design was created by sculptor Victor David Brenner, whose initials, VDB, had once caused controversy in 1909, but were later restored to the coin in a more discreet form. In 1967, those initials were present on the obverse, subtly placed near Lincoln's shoulder, a small signature connecting the coin to its artistic origins. Above Lincoln's head appears the word liberty, a concept deeply rooted in American identity and especially meaningful during the turbulent 1960s. To the right of Lincoln's profile is the date 1967, clearly marking the coin's place in history. Unlike some earlier years, the 1967 penny does not include a mint mark. This absence was intentional and directly connected to a broader policy decision by the United States Mint. During the mid-1960s, the nation was experiencing a severe coin shortage, driven largely by rising silver prices and widespread hoarding. To discourage collectors from removing coins from circulation based on mint marks, the mint suspended their use from 1965 through 1967. As a result, all 1967 pennies were struck without mint marks, regardless of whether they were produced in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. The reverse of the 1967 1-cent coin displays the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Designed by Frank Gasparo, the Lincoln Memorial reverse replaced the earlier wheat ears design that had been used since 1909. By 1967, the memorial reverse had already become familiar to Americans, but it still carried symbolic weight. The Lincoln Memorial itself represents remembrance, sacrifice, and the enduring legacy of leadership during times of crisis. Remarkably, the reverse design is detailed enough that Lincoln's seated statue can be seen inside the memorial when examined closely, making it one of the few U.S. coins to feature the same individual on both sides. The inscriptions on the reverse include United States of America along the top, 1 cent at the bottom, and the national motto E pluribus unum, positioned above the memorial. These words reinforce themes of unity and shared identity, themes that resonated strongly during a decade marked by civil rights movements, protests, and social change. The penny, though small, circulated through every layer of society, passing through the hands of factory workers, students, soldiers, shopkeepers, and families, quietly participating in everyday economic life. From a material perspective, the 1967 1-cent coin was composed primarily of copper, consisting of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This composition had been standard for decades and gave the coin its distinctive reddish-brown color when new. Over time, exposure to air and handling caused many examples to darken, developing brown or chocolate-toned surfaces. Well-preserved coins that retain their original red luster are especially valued by collectors today, as they offer a glimpse of how these coins looked when they first entered circulation. The year 1967 was significant in American history. The United States was deeply involved in the Vietnam War, and public opinion was increasingly divided. Social movements advocating for civil rights, women's rights, and broader cultural change were gaining momentum. Inflationary pressures were beginning to affect the economy, influencing the purchasing power of everyday currency. In this environment, even a humble penny had practical importance. A single cent could still buy small items, contribute meaningfully to daily transactions, and accumulate value when saved in quantity. The production of the 1967 1-cent coin was massive. Hundreds of millions of pennies were struck to meet the demands of commerce. The Philadelphia Mint produced the majority, while Denver and San Francisco also contributed, though none bore mint marks. San Francisco, in particular, was transitioning away from producing regular circulating coinage and focusing more on proof coins, but during this period, it still struck large numbers of cents to help alleviate shortages. The sheer volume of production ensures that the 1967 penny is not rare in an absolute sense, yet condition, strike quality, and color significantly influence collector interest. Collectors today evaluate 1967 1-cent coins based on several factors. Condition is paramount, with grading standards ranging from heavily worn circulated examples to pristine mint state coins. Coins graded in higher mint state levels, especially those retaining full red color, command higher prices. Another factor is the presence of errors or varieties. While the 1967 penny does not feature major widely recognized varieties like some earlier dates, minor errors such as off-center strikes, die cracks, double dies, and planchet flaws can occur and are sought after by specialists. These imperfections, created during the minting process, add uniqueness to otherwise common coins. The lack of a mint mark on the 1967 penny often confuses new collectors, but experienced numismatists understand its historical significance. It represents a rare moment when the U.S. Mint intentionally altered long-standing practices to address economic concerns. This policy decision reflects how even small design details on coins are influenced by broader financial realities. The 1967 penny is therefore not just a piece of copper but a physical record of governmental response to monetary challenges. In terms of value, most circulated 1967 1-cent coins are worth only their face value. However, uncirculated examples, particularly those graded MS-65 or higher with full red color, can be worth several dollars or more. Exceptional specimens with near-perfect surfaces and strong strikes may fetch higher prices at auction. Error coins can command even greater premiums depending on the type and severity of the error. Despite this, many collectors are drawn to the 1967 penny not for its monetary value, but for its historical context and accessibility. The 1967 1-cent coin also occupies an interesting position within the broader Lincoln cent series. It sits between earlier decades of traditional coinage and later years that would see significant changes in composition. Just over a decade later, in 1982, the U.S. Mint would alter the penny's composition to primarily zinc with a thin copper coating due to rising copper prices. The 1967 penny thus belongs to the final era of predominantly copper Lincoln cents, adding to its appeal among those who appreciate the weight and feel of classic American coinage. For many people, the 1967 penny carries personal significance. It may have been part of childhood coin collections, saved in jars, or discovered years later while searching through old change. These personal connections give the coin emotional value beyond any price guide listing. Coins like the 1967 1-cent serve as tangible links between generations, connecting modern collectors with the everyday experiences of the past. The cultural symbolism of the penny itself should not be overlooked. Often dismissed as insignificant, the 1-cent coin has played a foundational role in American commerce for over 2 centuries. In 1967, debates about the cost of producing pennies had not yet reached the intensity seen in later decades. But the coin's role was already being questioned as inflation reduced its purchasing power. Still, the penny remained an essential part of pricing structures and consumer psychology, influencing how goods were valued and purchased. In examining the 1967 1-cent coin, it becomes clear that its importance lies not in rarity but in representation. It represents a year, a decade, and a nation navigating uncertainty and change. It represents continuity in design and tradition while existing within a period of adaptation and reform. It represents the idea that even the smallest objects can carry stories of national significance. Today, the 1967 Lincoln cent continues to circulate occasionally, though many examples have been removed from everyday use and placed into collections. Each surviving coin bears marks of its journey, from mint presses to cash registers to pockets and purses. Scratches, wear, and toning all tell silent stories of transactions long forgotten. In pristine examples, untouched by circulation, the coin preserves a frozen moment from 1967, its surfaces reflecting the intentions of the engravers and the precision of the minting process. Ultimately, the 1967 1-cent coin is a reminder that history is not only recorded in grand monuments and major events but also in the ordinary objects people use every day. This small copper coin, modest in appearance and value, carries within it echoes of economic policy, artistic design, social change, and personal memory. It stands as proof that even a single cent can hold a wealth of meaning when viewed through the lens of time.